Theoretically, we're alive. Tried it once, failed. Let's try it again. How are you? I am so fucking tired. I'm hoping I'll be able to. Oh, shit. Stay awake long enough. Evening rage space noise. Exactly. What's going on, Joe? For some crazy fucked reason, I've got now suddenly have a Jay Giles song running in my head. Reading the instructions on the raccoon. So we're gonna take this thing apart. About to go to Baldwin, Michigan and protest the new private detention center. Good for you, Joe. Jesus. What's interesting about some of those private detention centers, from what I've heard, I don't know about all of them. It's funny. The people who want to throw people into them are the people who have stakes in their ownership, if not straight up ownership. Go figure. Makes a whole fucking lot of sense. Let's see. I can make money throwing people into jail, and I'm in power to be able, which gives me the authority to throw people in jail. Wow. Works fucking great. Criminal. Effing criminal. But what else is new? When you have a criminal in charge of your government. Wow. Okay. Let us move on. Evening, Grumpy Geo. Evening, Tame Nick. You call yourself a Texan? Dear God. What's going on, Nick? I'm so fucking burned out. I am so burned out. Exhaustion is catching up hard, I tell you, hard. The group that owns it also does paid labor at $1 an hour and sometimes a day. I love it. Yeah. So this is just another way of making fucking money. I feel you on the burnout. Yeah, dude, I didn't sleep well last night, and I had a lot of rage because of some stuff that was going on work-wise. And of course, once all that goes, it's like the exhaustion just settles right in. Rage against the water cooler, Nick. Yeah, exactly. Fuck that. Man, where does one begin, right? I guess what I've been thinking a lot about this week has been the impunity which our government thinks that they can control, that they have so much ability to basically rule the day to day. There was a time when the Republican Party was the party of small government, no overreach, just get the fuck out of people's lives. No, I mean, limited taxation, limited government influence, just all that deregulation, just all that shit. And now what we're seeing is government interceding even more into people's lives, like on a daily basis and at a very tangible level, right? Government needs to be a higher standard than the laws they enforce. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. In fact, this is why, there are people out there who are like, "Oh, government sucks. Oh, our government." No, our system of government is great, but like any tool, right? You take a hammer, and if you use a hammer to pound nails to get into something and pry it open, it's a terrific tool. You take it to somebody's head, it's a murder weapon. So that's the point of it. It depends on how it's done. And right now, I think we have that going on. You know, right now, government was always supposed to be at how we can help people. I'm not talking about help political causes or political parties or pet projects. I'm talking about the basics. Government is there to help its to help the congregation, for lack of a better term, right? Hey, what's going on, Ken? And it's completely sidestepped that. It's been doing it for years. I'm not putting this only on one person. It's been doing that for a long time. Just more to some degrees than others, right? That just depends on who's in charge. Good evening, Edwin. Excuse me. This is what happens when you get so used to seeing it. Good morning, Edwin. How are you, my friend? Hope you got some rest. So when you have all this government overreach, you start to wonder what the hell's going on. And here's a limited example. We've talked about the big stuff now for a while, right? We know what's going on in Texas. We know what's going to be happening in Chicago, what happened in LA, what's happening in DC. I think one of the things that got me this week was that our government, without the usual scheming, plotting, and working. And how is the scheming, plotting, and working going for you, Edwin? And I'm hoping it's going well. But I think the off of Venezuela, the purported Tren de Aragua boat that was obliterated, that to me showed a degree of what the hell is going on, that you have now so little respect for life that you just obliterated a ship of fishermen. Obliterated it. Like, if anybody's watched the video on that thing, it's kind of harrowing. You've seen these videos before where you got the satellite video kind of coming down on something, and the next thing you know, just watching it explode, right? A lot of stuff we see in warfare when you're doing some kind of an assassinations of political people. Coordinating a print work must be done in 4 days from today. The usual work day was 8 days, and I just remembered I needed to get more paint for them. Oh, mercy. Am I going to be able to pull that one off? So now, I guess some on the opposite end of the political spectrum might turn to me and say, George, but they were Tren de Aragua. To which George would say, prove it. Where's the proof that this was the case? I also heard an interesting thing about, when did being a gang member suddenly create a situation where a foreign government, i.e. the United States, can go into not international waters, but another country's domain and take people out. So the reason why, okay, and again, one can argue, were they Tren de Aragua? Were they not? Sure. Let's have that conversation. But more importantly, that we have a government right now that values life this much, that we've never taken out drug lords like this, if these were indeed drug lords or whatever, gang members. We've never done that. Think about what we had to do. If anybody ever watched like Zero Dark 30 or followed any of that stuff, think about what we had to do just to go after bin Laden, and now we're just willy-nilly. It's like, that's Tren de Aragua. Take it out. What happens if you got a ship of um, refugees trying to escape a natural disaster, say from Haiti, and is trying to cross into this country. And somebody says, yep, there might be some good people on there, but Tren de Aragua is there, obliterated. We don't care about life. And that to me is, I guess that goes against me in so many different ways. You know, the FBA considered Zerlos a gang. Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? Don't you? So, I think what's really, I guess, bothering me a lot about what's happening right now is the absolute belief perception that we have these are bad people. And there's a claim that they're bad people. And there is no proof, or there's no published proof that they're bad people. And then we go around and we start killing people that we say are bad people. At what point then does that become George, you've bitched about this country, you're a bad person, kablam. And I know that sounds extreme, but if we take a look at how extreme we're becoming now, I mean, does it really require much stretching of the imagination? I've been to a gathering or two. It's a Michigan thing. I guess it is. Taste the Fago. You know, so I guess what I'm getting at is, you know what? We're going to go to a file, nice round file. I guess what I'm getting at, guys, is, you know, we're now seeing there's so much historical context for that outcome. Oh, for which one in particular? The ability to just take people out because the thought is, I don't like you. You know, and that's kind of what it comes down to. You know, if there's one thing that can be said about the United States for the longest time, and it's I guess it's a little surprising that we have crossed the Rubicon. We've crossed the line. Power bank, yeah. First of all, Dwayne, good evening, my friend. How are you? You know, we're now at a point where it really does feel like we are marching towards a legitimate civil war in this country, of which civil wars are not good. I mean, I'm just going to say it. It's like, you know, and people say, we're not going to have that happen. When you've got two groups that are getting farther and farther apart, what's the old line about the center cannot hold? When the center cannot hold, then they start firing at each other. Escape from LA, Time Cop, Demolition Man, Cyberpunk, Blade Runner. To name a few. I had to remove my canopy and strip and sand. Oh, really? Oh, bummer. How bad was it, Dwayne, that you had to do that? I guess it was bad enough. I'm assuming this is on the bat plane, which I'm excited to see. And you've only got a couple more weeks, son. You better get cooking. Fingerprinted. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. So, you know what? I guess we've lost the ability. I'd like to find out when we're going to be able to get back to the point of civility. You know, and in fact, there was a little bit of a potential a modicum of showing in that you had Ro Khanna and Marjorie Taylor Greene on the same stage, kind of trying to call out what's going on with the Epstein files, you know, because, and again, I'll give Marjorie Taylor, I'll give anybody credit. If you're in, first of all, if you hear the stories of women who have been raped, right? And you legitimately care about women, okay? And you want to hear what they're saying. I don't care what political fence what political side of the fence you're on. Side of the political fence. There we go. You know, the point is you do good. And I'm happy to see that at least a couple Republicans have stepped forward and are looking to do good. which is interesting considering what our president said, which was, again, this is kind of like even the opening conversation. Our president who said, if you decide to try to force this thing through Congress, what was the exact language he used? Something like, you're kind of like on a shit list. And it's like, really? I mean, you're threatening members of Congress? Alma said the scariest word is routine. Yep. Little by little, they make things routine, like National Guard in cities. People get used to it. Then absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I think the only thing I'm hoping for, I truly am hoping for, Ken, is many of us, I'm hoping many or most of us have our eyes open enough. We won't let that happen. I'm praying. Finger, sorry. Damn finger. God damn. Yeah, exactly, Joe. Rather do it now than after paying late or weird and tested, need to run and seal up the ship. Yeah. Enemy of the White House. Yeah. He actually used very interesting language. I can't remember the exact language, but in essence, that is what he said. I oversimplify that, but when freedoms are taken away little by little, nobody knows. Exactly. It's like the analogy of also, it's the proverbial, boiling a frog, right? You have a pot full of water and it's scalding hot and you throw a frog in, it's going to leap right out. You toss the frog in when the water's cold, slowly start ramping up the heat. The next thing you know, it's a cooked frog. Yeah. I hope for that too. Wifey got home. Be right back. Sounds good, Joe. So, our my feeling is we are continuing to, as Ken very well put it, that we are testing these bounds on a daily basis to see what we can get by with and to legitimize what's going on. Oh, troops, of course, are in a city. That's what happens. Or, of course, we can kill drug lords because the president said they're drug lords. Okay. Or we can definitely take out, these people. They're bad. Why? Because the president's people say they're bad. Okay. So we're legitimizing, we are, making it so common that these things are happening. I'm hoping, and I know what I'm saying. I am hoping that, especially with what's going on with the Epstein files, that we'll see. Look, it's not about the Epstein files. I'm not looking to find Trump in the files. If he's there, great. If he's not there, I don't care. What I'm looking for is, it's if this is the thing that it takes, especially considering they're pushing back so hard, if this is the thing that it takes to allow for members of Congress to actually kind of start working together, legitimizing that we have to find ways of cooperating, I'm all in. I'm all in. You know how much I really hate Waves rubber pieces? They're awful. Trying to get rid of a mold line, filing it, sanding it. Nah. No. Pieces of shit. I guess I'm going to have to just carve it out. You're almost tempted just to remold, just cast this thing in epoxy or something like that. In fact, since this is poly material, I may try hitting it with some plastic magic to see if it does anything, like maybe smooth some of this shit out. If you're coming here to Indonesia, George, you will feel like home because my country is basically little America. Okay, so I have to ask this, Edwin. Little America like how it is now under this current regime, or how it once was, imperfect as it was, but at least still some kind of a democracy? Congress has to do something besides seed power. Oh, their capitulation is absolutely laughable. Absolutely laughable. Don't do anything until I tell you to do something. Okay. Fucking laughable. except that it's not laughable. Also, I hate that rubber shit. Yeah, and on this model, it's awful. I got to tell you, this I've said this before, and I'm going to get this one done because this is the one that's going to have the figure in it. But this is an awful model. I don't recommend the raccoon. Find out if you like Mackey, look at something from Hasegawa, bypass the thing from Wave. At least that's my take. Your mileage may vary. I think I'm right. Yo, it's politics night. Let's go. Exactly, MSA. How are you? Aren't there huge protests there right now? I think there are. So how dead is Trump actually? How dead is he? He's not. And let's be honest. I know that when I first heard the news, there was a smile that came across my face. I'm not looking for the guy to be dead. Honestly, I'm not. What's that going to do? Make a martyr? Not looking for a martyr. What I'm looking for is people who legitimately will get elected in place and be able to resolve situations, because we got a lot of bad shit going down. Huge promise right now. So how did it Trump? Like it is now, even our president, schooled in military school in America and also in the same batch of graduates as King of Jordan. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, there are protests, but currently things are quiet. Looking forward to more protests today. Yeah. Well, hopefully the protests are yielding positive results, Edwin. If there's one thing I can say about we're seeing a lot of protesting like I've never seen in this country before. Again, obviously I did not live through the Vietnam era, so I can't compare that. But I don't recall ever seeing protests like what we're seeing now, with very large crowds every couple of months. I truly, truly hope we can continue to build this momentum. So this is what I will continue to say. And for anybody who's on the opposite end of the political spectrum from me, all I can just say is keep your eyes open and look and see what it is that's being done to any human being. If you look at people on a boat, fishermen on a boat, or illegals, or anybody who's different, a Muslim, okay, a Jew, you look at anybody who's different, and your first instinct is fuck them. If that's your first instinct, you got a problem. And that is what we have right now in this country. It's our reaction to people who are getting killed on a boat or, jailed and thrown into concentration camps. Okay. I'm sorry. America has a Dachau. Call it what you want. That's what we have. But when we're gleeful to see people going in there, and people do that, think about what that means. Because at some point, that slope is gonna extend to people you know. Okay. I heard there were so many pizzas ordered, which to my knowledge doesn't happen unless a huge event takes place, like massive political events. I've never heard that before, but I guess that's a fantastic thing. If that's the measure of a successful protest is the number of pizzas that are sold, I love it. Talk about a nice calm way of being able to figure that one out. I am going to try hitting this thing up with some plastic magic in a little bit just to see what it does. If there are burning of buses stops at night, those are the work of provocateur. To blame on the demonstrator, the real demonstrators already went home at 6 p.m. Yeah. Ain't that usually the case? What was it that, again, historical precedent, right? 1936, I believe, was when Hitler took over. And the way he took over was after their parliament building exploded. And they blamed communists. And there was no proof, but communists did it. Therefore, we have to step forward. And that's all it's going to take. There are reasons why some American military presence here right now, as we speak. They're supposed to be gathering here for Pacific defense training with other Asian countries. Really? May that, I'm not sure what to think about that. Not like many pizzas ordered to a specific political place. I forget where it is. Okay. I have heard that this is sort of like one of the things that a lot of people who have extreme thoughts come up with, which is, you know what? I know where a judge lives. I will send them a pizza. That's a warning. No, that's not a warning. It's a fucking threat. I've heard that happening many times. And that kind of, I don't understand. Again, I maybe it's just me. I just don't understand the level of hatred. Like I think I say that every week. I don't understand the level of hatred that you feel that you have to have your political enemy, somebody you don't agree with, assassinated. Really? Have we really stooped to that level? I mean, are we stooping to that level that anybody we don't agree with, again, we can assassinate? This is going to be the sort of, I guess, the topic for tonight, right? It's at what point do we say, no, we're not going to allow this. We're not going to allow people to be thrown to detention centers into Dachau in order to, placate, a political incorrect, political wrong thinking. I'm being kind here, or assassinating people because we think that they did wrong. Well, then show us the proof. Anyway, so Epstein files. What we got this week? Any updates? No. The only update is, and if you listen to any of it yesterday, a number of the victims spoke on Capitol Hill, and this is where we saw California Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, and Thomas Massie, Republican from Tennessee, all on the same platform, saying these women were girls and were molested, and the government is doing nothing, even though it has all those records. So, what does our illustrious president then say at this point? Again, not caring at all about people, not caring, basically saying it's all Democratic hoax. Really? Somebody want to explain to me then why you and your son and a lot of the people in your cabinet were for the longest time saying release the files? We know bad shit's in there, bad people are in there. Huh. So who are the people in there? Pentagon? Yeah. Anyway, I'm still struggling with this. By the by. Okay, we're gonna go on the inside. Okay. We're going to hit this whole thing with some thin cement and get it all glued together. Actually, yeah, I think we are going to do that. We're going to get this whole, you can actually see most of this stuff just had like seams running right down the middle. We're going to thin cement all that stuff in there and go from there. From release the files to protect protect the files. 100%. It's disgusting. And again, it's one of those, when did this tune change? Why did this tune change? Why were you sitting there and for the longest time saying that bad shit's going down with this guy? And then when the time comes for you to do something about it, you have all the levers of power to do this. And you say no. First of all, I'm going to make the assumption Trump's not in there. Let's just make that assumption. He's not in there. He might know people who are in there. Why aren't you releasing it? Why are you taking this, put Ghislaine Maxwell in a minimum security prison where she can literally walk off campus and go to a college? That makes perfect sense to me, right? Or why is it that you're dribbling stuff out and the majority of the information that you've released now has already been released? Why are you threatening members of Congress that if they push forward the ability to force Congress to get those files, why are you threatening members of Congress? I mean, if nothing is bad, why are you doing that? The only thing I can think of is I'm putting this thing out here and you're not going to see what my left hand is doing. It's the only thing I can think of. It's some kind of a distraction thing. But boy, oh boy, you're using the wrong subject to distract. Even if he could just remove his name from the list and just release it. Yeah, he could. But again, why would you? Yeah, I understand why you would do it. You want to protect yourself, but you're going to get found. You're going to get found. There we go. I just wanted to pop that part open just enough so I can throw some thin cement in there. Okay. So, with all that being said, there we go. Just enough. Sorry, guys. Just want to get in here. Smush. Let's get the other side too. And then we'll smush it. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. And I'm using Tamiya thin cement right now because I don't want it to stick to the rubbery stuff. There we go. Anyway, so I don't know what more to say. I don't get why a married man go on that island. I would like to. Like, would you love your kids to be on there? If you've ever, it's honestly pathetic. It's more than pathetic. There's, without getting into details, I've had you can't say it's the pleasure. I've had enough opportunity to talk with women who have been abused. And one of the things that you hear is that it's a power thing. You know, why would you go after children? You know, it's because you can mentality. You know, why would you victimize somebody who, yeah, to your point, MSA, you're married, you have children, and this is what you're doing? Why would you do that? It's about power. Wealth and power can breed some strange preferences. Yeah. I think I would only change one thing there. I agree with you that it is preference. Preference, though, is being a little kind. Has anybody ever watched or read? And I've talked about this guy before. Has anybody read The Boys or watched the TV show The Boys? I love the series. So the writer, I've always struggled with. And the reason is because I feel like he writes in such a way that people in certain power are always very perverse, like sexual perverts or just absolutely corrupt. And for the longest time, I felt like you sometimes cross the line, right? And I feel like you're delving into places that aren't reality, boys, like Homeland. Yes, exactly. That one right there. Okay. You're crossing into places that people aren't like this. And I'm starting to feel that Garth Ennis, the writer, was actually probably right. And maybe when you look at how how people are as perverted in that TV show or in his other books like The Preacher and the rest of them, it's like maybe they are that bad. That there are people who have such a level of power that they think they can do anything. That I can buy my way into something without going into details. I knew of someone who kind of fit that mold, that they had so much power and wealth, they could destroy lives, and they did, and might have gone further because they can. And I think right now, when you hear about things like, the president saying things like, the worst thing that happened with Epstein was he stole these women, these girls from me. Not that he abused them, that he stole my employees. When he comes around and calls it a hoax, that why are people talking about this? You should be talking about the good things that I've done already. That level of narcissism is deeply troubling. Probably a nature versus nurture thing. Some rich people normal, some rich guy ugly with deranged desires. Yeah, well, yes, but I also think if you dangle, and this is why it's like, look, would everybody like to win the lottery? I would assume yes. Personally speaking, I don't know if I'd want to, because I don't think I want to have that excessive wealth dangled in front of me to the point where I would destroy lives. And I hate to put it this way. Money and power have a tendency to, even the best people, to twist them. Now, some people do better than others. But I think about, are there any people that I know who have become ridiculously wealthy, who have, and I've worked for some ridiculously wealthy clients. I'd be a maniac if I won the lottery. Yeah, I would too. Why? Because it would come out of left field, because I don't play the lottery. But the point is that I think that there's, I would never want to have that. I don't think I'd want that thing to happen. Sure. Would I like a comfortable life? Yes. But would I want so much money that I can literally buy anything? And by buy anything, I could just say, go destroy that person's life because they pissed me off. Like if my my inner id is so, something sets it off, and I've got the tool to be able to destroy that thing, i.e., that person, would I be tempted to use it? I don't think I'd want to. I don't think I'd want to test that. I don't think I'd want to test that. So I don't know if I could deal with that wealth. Yeah, I think, and that's why it's like my wife and I were just talking about this. She goes, "I wish we would win the lottery." It's like, I don't want the lottery. I just want a little comfortable life. Let me get me through my debt, get me through, college career for my daughter, get me to retirement. I don't need to have, I don't need a Ferrari. I don't need these things in my life. And I don't need to have so much wealth and power that I could literally, yes, I could help people, but I could just as easily destroy people. And that's where we are right now. We're seeing people with such wealth and power who are on a day-to-day basis destroying our lives. Money don't change people. They reveal what is behind the mask of sanity. But Edwin, can I ask you a question? Do you believe then everybody is insane? because I would probably argue using what you're saying as, yeah, I think everybody is insane. I don't think that anybody would be able. Everybody has to be sane. There's going to be something that comes from that. If you're a Homelander or like Superman, what would you do? You could wipe out countries, force presidents to do anything, kill anyone, and get away with it. What would you personally do first? My fear is I would do any of that stuff. I already planned what my lottery winnings are going towards. Haven't won yet, but it's spent. Yeah, but Nick, and I agree. I think many people, depending on the size of it, $1 million doesn't get you too far anymore, right? Takes care of a lot of things, but it doesn't get you too far. I'm saying if somebody had $1 billion, like if I won $1 billion, I'm 60, turning 60 in another month, right? What am I going to do with $1 billion? I mean, I could buy a 100-foot yacht. I could go buy an entire car collection. I could go pay people to vote the way I want them to. Is that right? No. No, I should probably rephrase that. Captain America serum, it enhances the good or evil inside. You create generational wealth. Yeah, and generational wealth is bad. The funny thing is, this country was formed on us leaving another country because of literally generational wealth. And now we're building generational wealth. People and both my wife and I have experienced it, given that we both play in luxury businesses. People are lucky. Like my kids didn't have the good fortune to be born into a good family where, guess what? You have to work to pay for some part of college. You're going to have to work in the summer in order to pay for some of this stuff, whereas other people, I'm going to either go vacation on the beach, go back to college or whatever, or better yet, my parents can afford to send me to LA so I can intern at a Hollywood studio. And I don't have to be paid. Why? Mommy and daddy can pay because we're born wealthy. Whereas another kid from a less well-off family can't do that. So here's something that I'm going to continue to just kind of espouse. I think we're now starting to see generational wealth. Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah, bad. What would you do? Free Palestine, make force world peace, end world hunger by force. So many options. All of them are bad. But that's me imposing. But see, that's the thing, MSA. I could say that I'm doing this for the good. I'm going to go and basically destroy generational wealth. I'm imposing my will. Do I think it'd be a good thing? Yes. But I would rather not be one person with that ultimate level of power being able to do that. To do it right, we have to do what we're seeing now, with this is a groundswell from a lot of people in this country in particular, who are starting to get involved. If anybody, again, I've mentioned the guy, and I know that there's a lot of people who don't like him because, oh my God, he's a socialist. Fuck you. Zohan Mamdani, thank God we got guys like that running in New York. Okay. Plattner, guy who's running for Senate up in Maine. Has anybody heard of Plattner? Has anybody heard him speak? Because he was on the No Oligarchs tour with Bernie Sanders. This guy is an oyster farmer, 10 years in the military. This guy has never gone into politics, but he is fucking fed up with watching his family, his lifestyle being destroyed because of the generational and excessive wealth in this country. What's wrong with world peace, though? World peace. So, yeah, that's a good question, MSA. I go see a soccer match in England. Yes, stuff like that. Small stuff. The problem, MSA, is that if you have that level of power, then you can do anything. And it could be for the good, it could be for the bad. For bad, we know what the ultimate outcome from that is. The problem is if you try to force people to do good, it's the Clockwork Orange mentality. Anybody here not familiar with Clockwork Orange? Either the movie or the book? Just want a bit of show of hands because I don't ever give a world peace does not come out with violence. Exactly. Or the imposition of one person's will, right, Nick? World peace can only come through everybody coming together. So, as an example, in Clockwork Orange, the lead character of Alex, totally evil guy. He is rehabilitated through drugs in a way that his body fights. When he comes up with evil thoughts, his body fights him. That's not fixing him. That's the imposition of something something outside. He has to change. You can't be good by having good beaten into you. The only way you can do good is if you go to the good. So I think Nick actually had the right way of saying it, and that is that you can't have world peace beaten down your throat. People have to come together and just say, we need world peace, or we need to go in a direction that's beneficial. If it's the imposition of a small group of people or one person who are ridiculously wealthy, whatever the outcome is, good or bad, you don't have buy-in from everyone. That's like giving everyone a lobotomy that doesn't agree with you. 100%. Yeah. Now, I do think they're obviously extremes, but I think in general, everybody has to come to the agreement that world peace is a desired thing, that fascism is bad, and the military industrial complex is bad. Squeeze. And that we have to be able to come together and end it. But you can't have Homelander coming down and saying, I'm fucking ending this now. Because then what's going to end up happening is you're going to piss people off. People who actually agree are going to be disenfranchised. So at least that's how I view it. People have to buy in. You can't lobotomize them. Yeah. So yeah. And I'm gonna maybe toss this in too. The only bad people would be pissed off. Yeah, I think even good people would be pissed off. That's the unfortunate thing. It was like the story of Conrad Kurz in Warhammer, who enforced peace through violence. Once he get off the crusade in space, his home planet went back to crime. Exactly. You're just going to return to the same thing. Exactly, Edwin. That's exactly the point. If we're going to have a place that we're happy with and that we enjoy, and a planet that we want to live in, then we have to change this. Now, I'm going to get a little, maybe a quasi-religious and a little philosophical here. I don't know if there is an afterlife. I don't know. I think on times that there's something going on, okay? But let's just assume for a second that there's a deity out there and he put us down here, and everybody asks the same question. What the fuck are you doing? Why did you put us down here to make us hate each other and be violent and do bad shit? And why are kids having cancer? And why is it that my beautiful wife died in a car accident or what have you, right? Why? If we accept, in my opinion, if I accept the fact that there is a deity, then I think we're put here, it's a test, that we are being tested to see, can we overcome the simple, the easy, the evil that resides in us, the simple path of hating, the simple path of destruction, the simple path of uh, just not doing right by us. It's harder. Okay, let's be honest. It's a lot harder to help somebody who isn't one of us. You know, oh, you're from Guatemala. I don't know anybody from Guatemala. You came up here illegally. Get out of here, you illegal immigrant. We can vilify people because they're not of the body. It's a lot harder to love them and to accept them and to try to find out who they are. What brought you here? Why are you here? That's the hard part, you know? And my religion, the religion that I was brought in, again, the struggle with the afterlife, but I make no bones about it. I consider myself a Christian. Okay. I think somebody taught us that, you know what? Love everybody. Start with that. And then we'll work everything else out after that. I don't know if you heard it. You have watched Injustice. Superman starts colonizing Earth and killing bad people after one. The Joker killed his wife. Sounds kind of like almost like what we're doing now. I'm just going to say it. I'm tired of being tested. Let me win the lottery so I can move to an island. And what's that going to accomplish, Nick? You're going to become isolated? I don't know. And Nick, look, love it or hate it. You live in a beautiful part of the world. Hot as hell, muggy as hell. You live in a beautiful part of the world. I love Texas. Your government down there, the people running it are fucked. Like fucked in a way I've never seen in my entire life. But the people in Texas, the people in the Houston area are lovely people. You've got a lot of great restaurants. You got a lot of good stuff going on. Because the deity is a devil, not a loving God of sorts. Just being a dickhead. Can I come, Nick? So why would an ever loving all accepting deity test its creation? Why? Don't know. Why did he put us down here in the first place? Don't know. Maybe, again, I can't answer that. But if we were put here, the question is why? And I'd like to think it's a test. That's how I look at it. Because he is a devil, not a loving God of sorts. Buying a private island, huh, Nick? Yeah, I think he's working at it. No, you can't, Ken. I'll let you stop by to deliver supplies. I love it. So, I don't know. Anyway, my friends, let's kind of end it on a positive note, right? We are let's put it this way. Let's assume for a second that I'm right. We're being tested. Then let's do good. Let's continue to do right by other people. I am from a Muslim family, but I went to Catholic school in elementary and middle school. One thing that struck me from this, like the John Wick quote, I will serve as I have been served. Exactly. 100%. Now, I hope that I don't behave poorly because I've been treated poorly. Great talk tonight. Thank you, Dwayne. Appreciate it. It seems kind of cruel of a God to do that, like for their amusement, perhaps. Or maybe it's if we think about it, are you deserving to come into the kingdom of heaven? What, people, just because you say I'm a such and such, I'm going to come into the holy place. It's like, no, you got to prove your way into it. I don't know. I could be completely wrong. And this could all be for naught because you know what? There might not be an afterlife. I don't know. Thank you, Dwayne. Again, appreciate it. Some people just don't get what private means. Damn, Nick. Well, I will say this for everything I've said. If Nick does win the lottery and he ends up buying an island, Ken, you and I are going to rent a plane and we're going to crash it into his island and we're going to go visit him. And we're crashing it because that means we can't get off easily. Just saying. I hope you keep streaming for a bit longer. I can stay on for about another 5 minutes, but I gotta get my evening started. I got shit to get ready for tomorrow. There's more than one God, and they all are just taking bets on us. You know what? I'll buy that. The thing is, we don't know. But I think humanity has always asked, why are we here? And I truly believe. Okay, let's just put it this way: would people here think that we are put here to fuck our fellow human being? Now, For example, Nick, I'm going to go down there and kidnap your children. Why? Because I want to. I was put here to do that. Or is it better to say, hey, Nick, I want to come down and hang out with your kids because you seem super cool. And I think your kids would probably be cool. And they'd probably enjoy me too, because I'm an old guy who enjoys being around kids in a good way. Okay. They're all laughing at us. Probably just letting you know I like shark fishing. Come crash. But I'd like to think that we were at least put here to do right, to do good by others. Now, and maybe that's not the way we were programmed. Maybe we're legitimately programmed to fuck people. If that's the case, then let's do counter programming. If we were programmed to be good with people, then let's follow the programming and find ways of improving that to make us even better to help people. How's that? Make it a 5-hour show. Oh, geez, are you kidding me? MSA, dude, I got a life. I got stuff to do. I gotta go watch a TV show. I'm not kidding you, dude. I did not sleep well last night. I am literally, once I get off of this thing, my head's gonna hit a pillow and I'm down for the next 2 hours. But I'd like to think, and I'm hoping other people would agree. And I know we're joking, and hey, I appreciate that we're joking about this too. But I'm just going to toss this out. I would like to think, and I'm hoping that other people, again, will kind of look at it in this way. I'm hoping that we were not here, put on this planet. If we were put on this planet, we weren't here to hurt others. We were here to help others. And if that is the case, then let's find ways of continuing that. Life? What's that? It's something I try to have and I don't always do. If we are programmed to F our neighbor, we are not different from more. Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to think we're not that, Edwin. And Edwin, can I get an agreement from you? Would you be like orcs? We're all random stardust from a big bang, no purpose, just a random happening. Yep. But again, Nick, then I'll ask, but we're thinking people. And if we're rational thinking people, and we generally are more successful as people, as a group of people, if we help each other rather than stick knives into each other, shouldn't we be doing that? I'm not familiar with that word. Which word are we talking about? Mavis says hi. Okay. Changes a little bit. Mavis, good evening. How are you? Mavis, can I just say how much I like your dad? He's an awesome guy. And happy birthday. Who's happy? Whose birthday is it? Life. Yo, Mavis, get them ducks. Anyway. So, guys, my birthday is tomorrow. Yay! That's awesome. What are you doing to celebrate, MSA? She's waving back. Oh, that's so sweet. I do hope I get a chance. So can I just say, isn't this better that we talk, that we break bread, that we share ideas, that we share thoughts, that we talk positively? Isn't this better than hating? Isn't it? Nick, what are you doing on the live stream? Go hang with your son. Happy birthday, Nolan. And I'm going to give a little wave to Nolan, too, if he's actually around. They play it for him later. Thank you, boys. Anytime, MSA. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. All right, my friends. So with that being said, as I end every morning, stay safe and stay sane. Go out there and do good. It's better to do good than to do evil, in my opinion. I'd like to think other people believe the same thing. We did birthday dinner and cake. I love it. I'm sure he enjoyed the cake. Later, fellow Stardust. Absolutely, Nick. We are Stardust. But go out there and do good. We are thinking rational beings, whether we came from Stardust or we came from God. It doesn't matter. We're rational human beings. Let's do good. Treat people with respect. Treat people with dignity. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. The John Wick approach to how people should be treated, right? But go out there and show kindness and love. And with that, I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. doing the Mach-K build. And next week, Thursday, I should be back on again, barring any problems. But guys, I love you all. and I have a world of respect for you all. Go out there and do good. Peace.